I'm Robin Hutchinson. I'm a director of the Community Brain, a community interest company that was founded on the belief that everybody's brilliant if they're given the help and support to be brilliant. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about one of our projects, Shedex, Growing Ideas in Tolworth. Tolworth is going to go through more regeneration than almost any other area in the borough of Kingston upon Thames. It suffers from being quartered by the A3 that acts as a barrier that's almost impenetrable, and the road between Ewell and into Kingston. And as a result, the community almost doesn't understand what it's got at its fingertips. At the start of our project, we invited people to come to the top of Tolworth Tower and look down on the land in which they lived. The borough's largest nature reserve, Tolworth Court Farm, was within eyesight. The vast majority of people had never visited it because they didn't even know it was there.
The most exciting project that we're doing at the moment is to highlight Tolworth Nature Reserve. So our Tolworth Nature Reserve is a hugely underused space that I don't think most local people are aware of even exists. So we are creating some planters that will go on Tolworth Broadway down towards the nature reserve to highlight that the place is there so that people can go and enjoy it.
Tolworth Court Farm, Tolworth Moated Manor, all these amazing green spaces, just a moment away from the traffic and the noise and the air pollution. Because Tolworth suffers one of the highest air pollution problems, not just in Kingston, but right the way across London. So Shedex Growing Ideas was about how do we invite the community to reimagine the place that they live and do it in such a way that they feel they've got a right to be in control of its destiny. So instead of in a lot of other places where developers turn up with beautiful plans promising lots of things that perhaps the community don't want, could we get a community and the communities to come together and say, what we want, what we need, what we dream of are these things? And it was out of that that Shedex was born. It's really apt that we're here on Tolworth Main allotments because just behind me is a shed that's played a really important part in this whole project. In the old days when people had sheds on allotments, they used to borrow, beg, basically get the materials to create their own sheds. If they bought a bag of screws, they'd failed. It was all about recycling before that was actually something that people thought they should do. And we wanted to do something to honour those sheds because actually to us they were a window not just into a past but also around the value of a future. And so working with MA architecture students from Kingston University, we created an exact replica of that shed as a flat pack. The idea being it could then go up anywhere. We were absolutely amazed when it ended up going to the Victoria and Albert Museum for 4 weeks as a centrepiece in their square. It then went to the Hampton Court Flower Show 2 years running where it won a silver and then a gold medal, and then it went to the Garden Museum as well as appearing in and around Kingston. And when it appears, it has oral histories playing within it. It has people from Tolworth talking about why the relationship with growing, with the soil, with each other is massively important to their quality of life and also their mental health. We've done lots of quiet interruptions, little moments that perhaps give people a sense of hope that things can change. A very simple thing has been the introduction of a mural on Tolworth Roundabout, an underpass that people were certainly didn't want to go through, in some cases were frightened of, has become a place, and we know it again through feedback. Suddenly children are saying, I want to go through that underpass because they can see it. If we can make bleak situations look bright with tiny interruptions and people begin to feel differently, they'll begin to change things.
My name's Debbie Chessel and I'm the artist in residence for Shedex. I'm sort of working outside of the station, so the station's my main hub of where I'm making all the artwork and projects sort of come to. So at the moment I'm doing projects that involve the community, so they're all workshops based outside of the station which will come in, and then once the waiting rooms and things have all been confirmed, I'll be doing more installations inside the station itself. Got a plan for a ceiling gallery, which is all of the tiles in the ceiling of the station. We're going to make little plaques that fit exactly into them, and then there's 2,000 tiles, so hopefully 2,000 artworks made by local people, which would be really fun.
So one of the things that came out when we were at top of Tolworth Tower was, why the hell have we got 23 appalling benches all along Tolworth Broadway? So one of our first projects was, to put life back into those designed benches, to lift the lids, fill them with soil, and then plant them with a variety of different plants. Some that are about the environment, improving air quality, some that are about biodiversity, bees, others that relate to the shops that they sit in front of. It's so much about the story we want to tell about where we live, and we want Tolworth to be proud of its own story. One of those stories is that of our local football club, Corinthian Casuals. Corinthian Casuals have an important legacy in world football. Indeed, if you made it up, nobody would believe you. So Corinthians were formed because Scotland kept beating England at football, and the Assistant Secretary of the Football Association felt this was wrong, and he'd watched the fact that most of the Scottish team came from a single club, so they used to playing with each other. So he founded Corinthians, a totally amateur club, in the belief that actually you could get players together who would play for the love of the game, and through that love of the game would probably be successful. And sure enough they were. Within years England were beating Scotland at football, and on 2 occasions the entire England team was just the Corinthians Football Club running out there.
Corinthian FC in 1910 travelled to Brazil to help introduce and popularise the game there. Now, while they were there, and they played a game in Sao Paulo against a team called Sao Paulo Athletic Club, a group of spectators were so impressed they started their own club called Corinthian Paulista. Now, since then, we've maintained this friendship with the people of Sao Paulo and, of course, the people at Corinthian Paulista Football Club that's lasted 110 years.
We held a Brazilian festival to celebrate that link, and there were people in Tolworth saying, why are we celebrating Brazil here? And when they understood the story, they became as proud of it as we are.
So we celebrate not just our friendship with Corinthian Paulista, but also with Brazil as a whole. It's the most unlikely thing, but here we are at a place that has a very strong and direct connection to Brazil. Every home game we have here, there are Brazilian fans who come on, I guess, a pilgrimage, you could call it, to a place that they consider their spiritual home. It's amazing.
We believe in playgrounds for adults. We actually believe that the child still lives inside, the child that believed they could do anything. And life and people have told them they can't, and we want people to rediscover that joy in play. That actually you can do things, that you are brilliant, and you mustn't listen to the voices around you that tell you shouldn't. And the Farm of Futures is a place where people can do this. We took over a vacant premises to create a suburban farm. It's now more than that. Through the fabulous One-to-One Collective and others, it's about farming waste out of the environment to put into action, but it's about farming ideas as well. So we're passionate about creating spaces where people and young people can reinvent themselves, think of their new ideas and pursue them with passion. We're here that when people fall over, we can pick them up, dust them off and say, right, what did you trip on? How the hell do we get that out of the way for you? Tolworth deserves this, as every place deserves it, because unless we're proud of where we live, we become fearful and we become negative. And when you see antisocial behaviour and fear of others, it almost invariably comes from a place of, I don't value myself. So we have to put value in people's hands so they can look at others without jealousy and without fear and without hatred and believe that all together we can make the world a better place. So we can see already the ideas that are going to come together to make Tolworth better. And I'll tell you, in a year's time, 2 years' time, we'll be opening bottles of champagne, or in my case ginger beer, and celebrating the fact that actually people make places, and that's why they're important.